What is up? It's a Fit Gear Hunter, and today we're going to do the final and full thoughts and review for the new Garmin Epix Pro 51mm and the Garmin Fenix 7 Pro. So if you like this review, please give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing for more. I have been testing these devices both in and out across all the new feature spectrum, as well as all of the hardware differences, and we're going to talk about it in summary today. Plus, we're going to talk about whether or not you should upgrade, whether you're a Fenix 6 owner, a Fenix 7 owner, or any other type of watch owner out there. We're going to talk about it in general terms, and then I'm going to give you sort of my real thoughts on what I think about the feature differences with these new Pro Series offering. So diving in, first we're going to look at the hardware upgrades, which is the meat and potatoes, like the backbone of what the new Pro Series is now bringing to the table with both the Epix Pro and the Fenix 7 Pro. We're going to look at the heart rate accuracy in a summary format, because I did a whole heart rate accuracy in-depth analysis for doing CrossFit workouts with the new Elevate 5.0 sensor. We're going to talk about a summary of the old but high quality wellness and training and general software aspects that are on all the Fenix 7 watches. And then we're going to talk about the features, the new features that are on the Epix Pro and the Fenix 7 Pro that are now also going to trickle down to the Fenix 7 Original as well as the Epix Original. And then I'm going to share my thoughts across the board. So with that, let's dive into the hardware similarities and differences. Let's dive in. All right, so here you have the two new watches. You have the Epix 51mm Pro here on the left and the Fenix 7 Pro on the right. And we're going to look at some of the design or hardware specific features to each of them that are new to the Pro Series and talk about some of the highlights there. So we're going to talk with the Fenix 7 first. Fenix 7 Pro, just some of the overall hardware features. So a slightly different band comes with the Pro Series, not a significant difference there. And we're going to look at the screen quality and clarity difference in just a minute. Probably one of the most primary features is this new Elevate 5.0 heart rate sensor, which we're going to talk about the accuracy. There's the 4.0, so you can see these two middle pieces are where it's going to actually track your heart rate. Here you have 6, so you have 2 here, 6 here, so you get a lot more accurate. We're going to look at the accuracy results in a second. One of the other features that is new to the Fenix 7 is now a flashlight on all of the watches, so that's fantastic. It is actually, even on this smaller Fenix 7, so not the 7X, it is actually 64 lumens versus the 44 lumens on the 7X Original. So it's 50% brighter backlight even on the smaller. And if you go to the 7X Pro, you're going to get 81 lumens, which is basically twice as bright. And then we have the screen clarity. So actually we should just go straight into comparing them sort of side by side. So they're both set to max brightness, and you can probably see it just even in the video. This is actually 33% brighter by a technical light meter, but to me it feels twice as bright. So it definitely feels way more vibrant and way brighter in contrast and in colors. And so the other thing that's interesting, in simple terms, the casing for the 7S Pro, 7 Pro, and 7X Pro is going to be the same casing as the original 7S, 7, and 7X. So there's no loss of size, weight, or otherwise, but it's going to be the same battery in all 7 series across the board, but the 7 Pro is going to have a brighter base backlight. So you could turn down the backlight and get more battery life than the 7 series original, or you could keep it at 20% or 30% and get the same battery life but with a better visual experience. So in looking at the 7 Pro and just talking about battery life specifically, I did one test where I just had it jacked all the way up at 100%, got 8 days, which is definitely more than 100% on the original Fenix 7 that I tested. And at 50% backlight, I got 11.5 to 12 days, so 50% backlight, and that compares to about, I don't know, not twice, but 150% of what I would get at a 70 or 80% backlight on the Fenix 7 Original. All of these series, both the Fenix 7 Pro as well as the Epix Pro series, are going to offer the dual band GPS connecting and Sat IQ, as well as 32 gigabytes of storage. So that's universal now across them all. All the Fenix 7 Pro series are going to offer the solar charging, and in general, it's just going to be a better quality experience with the same or longer battery life, as well as the beauty and benefit speaking specifically of the Fenix series of the flashlight itself. So then when we get into the Epix 51 millimeter, the Epix Pro now comes in 42 millimeter, 47 millimeter, and 51 millimeter sizes. This 51 millimeter is the same size, weight, and dimensions as the 7X, so you're not losing anything, but you are gaining 1,000,000 times of clarity on the screen. So it's the same weight, same thickness, same breadth, as well as if you're looking at the 7X, the original, 2 times the brightness on the backlight, and obviously the screen being, I don't know, 100 times brighter. Overall, just excellent experience with losing this big, beautiful 1.4-inch screen. And the other amazing thing is in this big, beautiful screen, when you look at these two watches, memory and pixel, transflective, more dull screen, they are rated at the same battery life. Actually, the Epix 51 millimeter Pro is rated at 31 days of just standby use with not using always-on technology versus 28 days without solar on the Fenix 7X. Now that is unbelievable because you can see the quality of the screen is just 150 billion times different. So looking specifically at the battery life for the Epix Pro 51 millimeter, when I had always on display with 100% brightness, like full tilt brightness, I was getting 13 plus days. And when I had it at 67%, which is like out of the box, using always on display, I was getting 14 to 15 days. That's longer than the projected out of the box recommendation. And technically, when I was using this 7X solar, getting some mild solar use at full brightness, 100%, I was getting 13.3 days. So full brightness of an AMOLED display is comparing almost directly the same battery life as the 7X turned all the way up, getting solar charging and having a much dimmer, less visually pleasuring, screen technology. So those are the hardware differences, and now we got to talk about the heart rate accuracy differences because there's a broad connection. I did a whole review, a broad difference between the original heart rate Elevate 4.0 and the 5.0 in the new Pro series. Let's take a look. All right, so here's a sample heart rate chart when you compare the chest strap, which is perfect for the most part, compared to one of the devices. You see very, very high level agreement between the two. If you were to plot all the heart rate data across 22 workouts now, or 11 workouts for 2 different devices, and you plot them one over the other, here is how it would compare to a chest strap, specifically looking at the diagonal line. So that means that every time that the chest strap read your heart rate at 120 beats per minute, the optical heart rate sensor on either of the watches read 120 beats per minute. So that diagonal line is perfect correlation, or perfect symmetry between both readings, and these dots have been given high level transparency. I think it's like 94% transparent, or actually on this graph 96% transparent, but you have a lot of dots across the middle. That's why it's the only reason why you have that dark black region. Plus you have a correlation comparison of 0.96, which puts this at the one of the most accurate, at least in my testing for doing CrossFit or high intensity interval training, which is typically the most rigorous. This score is definitely one of the best that's out there, probably second. Not afraid to admit to the Apple Watch, but the Apple Watch doesn't have wellness and training analytics. But this is the Elevate 5.0. You can compare it to the Elevate 4.0 on the same type of graph. So here you can see that the heavier watches like these ones I'm testing, the Fenix 7 or the Epix, got a lower score of 0.90. Lighter watches like the 965, 265 got a higher score, but still neither score was as good as the condensed score here of 0.962. And this is with the heaviest watches that Garmin makes, specifically the Epix Pro 51 millimeter, and you don't have all those blurry lines out to the side of the center point. So excellent results. Even in the last 2 days, I just continued to track my workouts. This wasn't in the final summary. Here was the workout from Monday on the Fenix 7 Pro. Here's the workout from Monday on the Epix Pro 51 millimeter, again, the heaviest watch that Garmin makes. And here was today on the Epix, and I know the reason it had a bobble in the first part because I just had an issue with my wrist wrap on that particular side, but it picked up the rest of the workout in relative excellent perfection, as well as the Fenix 7 Pro today, and just tracked it excellently. So the heart rate, Elevate heart rate Elevate 5.0 heart rate sensor is definitely one of the best on the market and a huge improvement. All right, so there you have the basic breakdown of what is really truly different about the Pro Series over the original series of both variants or both watch types. You have a new flashlight, obviously, across all lines. That's actually pretty awesome. More, you have a brighter screen on the Fenix 7, you have a bigger screen or a smaller screen on the Epix Pro options. You have what I would consider better battery life on the Fenix 7 series because you have a brighter screen and it's the same battery life, so you can turn it down to a lower, dimmer screen and get the same experience for longer. And then more importantly, and over and above all this, you have the new Elevate 5.0 heart rate sensor, which is proving to be an incredibly accurate heart rate sensor and definitely one of the top on the market today. So we're going to talk about software similarities or software universal things to the Fenix 7 and the Epix line, because I think there's a ton of value that Garmin offers over and above any other manufacturer, far and away. And then we're going to talk about the new features that are on these Pro devices, as well as trickling down to the Fenix 7 Original and Epix Original. Let's dive into the software differences. All right, so looking at the two watches with what software changes are old and what software changes are now new, we'll start with the Fenix 7 Pro. So look at some of the old basic software that's now, that is on both original and current Pro series. You have the weather widget, you have the body battery, which is one of my favorite things to track your overall impact of the busyness of your day on your overall readiness to face the next rigorous, stressful day or hard workout. You have your HRV status, which obviously tracks your heart rate variability overnight to determine how much recovery you have had, as well as your sleep tracking. One thing I will say about both of these watches with the new heart rate accuracy is it definitely seems like there's a difference in the accuracy of when I went to bed, when I woke up, and how often I moved in the night. That is a big difference. That is sort of a subtle difference and not really mentioned. So those are the wellness features. And then when you get into what a workout looks like, if you were to go to look at a workout afterwards, it's got some of the same features. It's got a new calories snapshot of how many calories you are burning per minute at some point, and then the training effect, aerobic and anaerobic. Another feature I've noticed in using both these new Pro watches is the anaerobic score is now higher than it has been in the past. I'm not sure if they're updating their algorithms with first beat, but it's just coming in higher than it was in the past. But that is the workout analysis, which flows into the training analysis. When you have your training status, you can see your load over time. Really cool feature in the new load ratio, as well as a multiple of factors that affect your training status. Your training readiness, which has to do with your recovery, your sleep, your stress from the last day, coupled with how hard you've been working out in recent days. And then some other new features. So you obviously have some old features that are just similar: sunrise, sunset, tides, your compass, which just shows you, basic compass things, solar intensity, overall performance indicators, notifications. Notifications look good. So obviously, notifications come in, pretty clear, and everything. I really like the font and the size of the notifications on the Fenix series. You have the stocks widget. So those are the things that you see and the old base core features: wellness, as well as training, as well as just other life features. And so now looking at the new features, you can see obviously all these old features. If you're looking at it on the big beautiful screen of the Epix, it changes the overall experience, the heart rate variability status, just to see how the screen looks on this big 51 millimeter beauty. So lots of great things to see there. Oh man. But the new features now are offered is training and endurance score. So I really like it actually visibly on the watch versus even in the app. I like how it looks over time, and this will build out over time and determine my ability to sustain a hard level of work for a longer period of time, is the endurance score itself, as well as the hill score, which I don't do hills, so I'm not going to be able to amass much value there. And then this new health widget, which actually summarizes a lot of these few basic things, sort of like a morning report all in one place. If you wanted to go look at a multiple of things all in one place, you wouldn't have to. Sorry. And those are the new basic features, as well as the new mapping features and map features. So now you look at the weather widget. Now the weather widget has this super cool map, which will have weather aspects that you can change, and you can change the overlay. I always like to see cloud coverage. There's no cloud coverage right now. Oh, there it is. And now it's going to come in. It'll show it rolling over a period of time if you want to track a time delay. So you have that feature, as well as you have, if I can get to it, on the map feature, you'll see on the map within daylight hours, you'll see actual contour lines of elevation changes, so more shading on the map, which actually is really helpful. And then specifically on the Epix itself, I just happen to always mention in all of these little baby reviews I'm doing, I just love the watch faces that come on the Epix far more than I do on the Fenix 7 Pro. It just really takes advantage of the screen and really are super cool, as well as the new red shift, which you can any point in time change the entire screen to a red shift. And it is just super cool because it's not just the watch face, it's actually the whole entire function of the watch is all in redshift. So those are the new features. These are the features that are going to come to all Fenix and Epix line, Fenix 7 and Epix line, so you're not going to have to wait too long before that happens. So those are the features, new and old. Like I mentioned, minor points to point out is the anaerobic effect is tracking differently in workouts, as well as the sleep is much more accurate, it feels like, because of the new sensor. All right, so what do I think of the new Epix Pro 51mm, or the new Epix Pro and the new Fenix 7 Pro? What do I think of the things in general? Should you upgrade, and how does it compare to other watches on the market? And what do I think in the real world, looking at cost and value? So what do I think in general? Everything is just better. It just feels like everything is better. A brighter screen, smoother, not necessarily smoother processor, but you have the bigger screen on the Epix. Everything flows super wonderfully. Everything flows perfectly. You have the flashlight now across the board. You have the size being the same, but size variance now on the Epix series. You have, the best heart rate accurate sensor for truly rigorous workouts of anything Garmin's ever done before. So that's what I think in general. It all just seems superior. It all just seems to all function excellently, and I would say finally, especially when it comes to the heart rate sensor when doing the most rigorous workouts. So should you upgrade, and what are my thoughts in general? I'll tell you right out of the gate, when it comes to the Pro Series, my thoughts are, I don't know if you need the titanium and sapphire. So the titanium and sapphire will add an extra $100, but it doesn't offer any other features other than a hair lighter, about 12% lighter, and then a tougher glass. Now, you obviously might want to protect your very large investment with the cost of either of these watches, but you also could just get a glass protector and hang with the stainless steel, because the weight of the watch is no longer going to have as much of an effect on the heart rate accuracy. So for me, I would not pay for the extra titanium and sapphire combination or extra $100. So should you upgrade? Looking at Garmin's history of watches, let's say you have a Garmin Fenix 6 or 6S series. I would say that is a definite yes upgrade. You're talking about the Elevate 3.0 heart rate sensor and now the Elevate 5.0 heart rate sensor, and there is a wide chasm between the two as far as heart rate accuracy. The Elevate 3.0 was a definitively not super accurate heart rate sensor, and that would have flowed through to more of the functional analytics on the watch. You have a major overall experience difference with the touch screen. You have solar technology across the board in the Fenix 7 line. You have additional features when it comes to wellness, when it comes to training. You have a much brighter screen when it comes to the Fenix 7 Pro series, as well as the obvious Epix Pro, which is a gajillion times brighter. You have a flashlight now offered. You have better battery life across the board. So I definitely think that the summary of benefits is definitive, worth your money in value. So next, let's talk about if you are a current owner of the original Fenix 7 series or the Epix. That is a tougher call to make. I tend to assign value to some of the feature upgrades, like the heart rate sensor being the most valuable piece. I would tend to assign it like a monetary value of $100 to $150. $150 probably because it's going to flow through to more accurate analytics over time, and even looks like it does out of the gate with sleep tracking now. The flashlight, I'd say that's worth about $50 to me. And the overall screen and experience differences, when a better quality screen on the Fenix 7 Pro series adds $50, a better, shorter battery life or longer battery life, adds, $50. So all those things. And then obviously on the Epix 51 millimeter, that awesome large screen, as well as the crazy long battery life of the Epix 51 millimeter Pro, adds another $100. So if you look at sort of quantifying these on the low end, it's $200 to $350 of additional value with these new watches, but they cost $800 to $1,000 depending on which one you're looking at. And if you subtract the additional value, you're looking at probably having to spend out of pocket over what you might sell your 7 Original or Epix Original for. Might have to shell out $100 to $200. So the gap between what you could get for your current Fenix 7 or Epix Original and the value of the features that are now offered on the new Pro Series is a gap of about $100 to $200 just straight up out of pocket. And so you have to weigh that question, whether that's worth it or not, because it is just it could be sort of mathematically seen as just a pure financial loss. What about the others? Apple Watch, I don't think competes, and even more so now. Apple Watch does not offer out-of-the-box wellness, doesn't offer out-of-the-box true training analytics. You have to use third-party apps. It is the most accurate heart rate sensor on the market, but I don't think, because it doesn't offer those things out of the box, I don't think those new software features with having mapping, I don't think those software features have any direct impact on the day-to-day wellness and training analytics, which is what you get a sport watch for. Coros, I think Garmin just does everything better and even more advanced in certain areas. The same thing with Polar, and even in my review of the Suunto Vertical, which offers similar feature sets on the wellness and the training side, I don't think could keep up, and definitely not the full tilt value Garmin is offering. So what do I think last and finally in the real world? For me, as somebody coming from the Fenix 7X, which has the flashlight, and somebody that's comfortable wearing a chest strap, I don't know that it's worth the jump, even though I would want to make that jump. Because for me, the only jump I would make is the Epix 51 millimeter Pro stainless steel, so not the titanium Sapphire version, and that is a $900 watch. And to me, that's just beyond my comfort level for cost. So I have to wait until I can get a discount through like my health insurance at work to be able to purchase it, because I think it's more in the $700 range would make it more feasible or reasonable or justifiable to me, even as somebody who reviews, tech devices all the time and has a channel. $900 is just too much. But if you're somebody who's coming, so if you have two basic criteria, you don't wear a chest strap when you work out, and you actually have the money to shell out that sort of gap difference between the value of your current device and the new features that are valued, I'd say definitely go for it. Definitely go for it. The new heart rate sensor accuracy is a major one. So that's where I would define that sort of gray line there. You don't wear a heart rate sensor and you have the money to shell out. So that is my summary. That is what I think across the board, highlighting the current features that were on the original 7 series, as well as the original Epix and the new Pro series, the new hardware features, the accuracy level of the hardware features, the software features, old and new, as well as my thoughts when it compares to what you should do if you have other devices outside of these two devices. It's the Fit Gear Hunter. Thanks so much for watching.